Welcome to Wesley Impact. I'm Keith Garner. How important is it to follow the path that God sets before you? I'm glad you're able to join us today. We've got a full programme and a very special guest that I'm looking forward to speaking to. Lee Hatcher is one of Australia's most respected journalists and newsreaders. He has a career in the Australian news media that spans many decades and which includes coverage of some of Australia's most iconic moments in history. Since I arrived in Australia and started my superintendency at Wesley Mission, Lee is one media presenter that I got to know well over the years, especially at Christmas and Easter. We'll talk about that a little more later in the show. I'll be joined by Lily Kwan and the Wesley Impact Band, who will sing My Redeemer. And I'll share some thoughts on Easter from the early morning account in John's Gospel. Each Gospel gives an account of the resurrection, but also gives its own unique way of looking in on the story. Here in John, we see how the disciples came to believe through the witness of Peter and John. Our passage today focuses on how Jesus appeared to his disciples. But first, you may be aware of the work Wesley Mission does through our Parents Next programme. This is where we support parents who, for whatever reason, but typically to focus on raising children in their formative years, have left the workforce for a short while and are looking to reskill and re-enter the workforce. We run this programme across a number of cities around Australia, and this is one way we seek to preserve the people that we come into contact with real jobs and real relationships. At Wesley Mission, we recognise that employment can be more than just a job. The change that comes about when someone finds a fulfilling, full-time and meaningful employment can be so significant, as it allows people to move on from being dependent on welfare and the generosity of others to being independent and able to provide for themselves and their family. Let's take a look together at Jessica's story.
Hi, my name is Jessica. I am 25 and I have 4 children under the age of 8. I first got involved with Parents Next when Sanalik said that I needed to go there to work out, a job plan. And so I did that, and I remember going to my first appointment where I learned about the Young Parents School, and I've currently been attending there for 3 years. I'm currently doing my Cert 3 in Education and Support, and I'm doing training as well in the school. They, help you feel more confident within yourself. They help you get your resume done, and they give you some job interview clothes as well. And a certificate for attending that course. It was very good. They have helped me a lot. They're always there for support. If I ever needed any help with anything, all I had to do was ask, as in like the schoolwork and the study stuff. Just ask them if I didn't understand and they would tell me. They help you get back into the job force, and they don't just give you a little shove, they give you a big shove. And they're there for the support on helping you with your resume, helping you hand it in, and they'll give you fuel cards too if you need that to get to anywhere for job. My hope and dreams are to have a full-time job by the end of next year. Have all my certificates done and then be ready to go in there fully qualified. Now that I'm a part of the Parents Next program, I feel more like my communication skills have gotten a lot more improved. I used to not want to talk to anybody, and now I talk to everybody. I feel like it's definitely improved my life. I wouldn't be where I am today without getting that push from my Parents Next worker. I'm very lucky. I've introduced lots of my friends to Parents Next and got them to sign up. So I have been in that situation. There's about 3 people that I can think of that I have made join Parents Next and start my school. because I've told them, like, it has changed my life really a lot. You know, I used to be really depressed when I was at home all the time. And since being at school 5 days a week, studying 3 days, working 2 days, it has changed my life. I wouldn't be in the situation I am in now if it wasn't for Parents Next.
If you would like to learn more about Wesley Mission, visit wesleymission.org.au. You can find help in our community services, connect with our church and congregations, discover a volunteer role that suits you, stay up to date on the latest news and information, donate to support our work, and help make a positive difference in your community. You can also connect with us on social media and subscribe to receive the latest news and information about Wesley Mission directly into your inbox. Visit wesleymission.org.au.
So the contact details are on the screen once again. Don't hesitate to reach out to us if we can be of help to you or a loved one in some way. Now, my guest today is someone who I met early in my role as superintendent at Wesley Mission. For more than 4 decades, Lee Hatcher has done just about everything in media and the news arena, starting as a journalist, selected to anchor the nightly news for a major network in Australia, to many, and working at Sky News and different things today. Look, it's a delight to welcome you, Lee.
It's always great to see you, Keith. Everything but singing.
Oh, that's
He's
right.
been threatening to get me to sing on this
Well,
program.
we're going to do that in a
I've
moment.
resisted that.
The musicians will come from behind the curtains.
It'll be a miracle.
Many people listening to the conversation will know something about your work. That standout moments in your career, because there's one very, very big one that you can't.
Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah.
It was the one that happened really early in my career. I
Yeah.
had probably been a cadet for just over 18 months in radio. I was appointed as the Macquarie Network's Canberra correspondent and began work in Canberra on Budget Day 1975. And those who know their political history will know that that was actually day one of the so-called constitutional crisis, which then led to Gough Whitlam being sacked on the 11th of November. And that slightly bewildered, ruffled, bearded individual down the left-hand front there
Is you?
is me. And I always have to add, it's not photoshopped. I actually was there.
Yeah.
It was the most
and
amazing
it's the speech every Australian knows, isn't
Yeah,
it? Well,
yeah.
may they. They all know.
It was interesting. David Smith, the guy in the middle, who was
Yes.
the Governor-General's
Yes.
official secretary, announcing the proclamation dissolving Parliament so election could be held. He ended his speech by saying, "God save the Queen." Then Gough grabbed the microphone and said, "Well,
Which
may
a lot
we
of
say..."
people, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's obviously the context
That's
in which
right.
that
He said,
makes
"Well,
sense.
may we say God save the Queen," and everyone knows how it finishes. Yeah.
And what's some of the other roles that you filled? Because that was just a way in other things.
I worked for a long time with the Seven television network. I was their European correspondent, living and working out of London through Eastern and Western Europe for a couple of years. I was Seven's chief Olympic correspondent, going through the Atlanta Olympics and in the end 2000 Games in Sydney, right from the very early days of the bid for the U2000 Games.
Yeah.
So I think I count it a great privilege living through what we now call the golden years of broadcast journalism, because it's a lot tougher gig now.
Now, it's changed a lot, but
Yeah.
you're still active in media in some ways. What are some of the things you do now?
Well, I'm more freelance, actually. I produce and direct video. I love directing. It's something new to me. And after you go through the experiences that I've had, you learn a lot about what it is to be a presenter, and you can bring out the best in people. I coach in media training and presentation skills, and I podcast for a range of clients. Mainly
And the Christian faith means a great deal to you, Lee.
Yeah.
Or do you find you're able to help Christians in the area of media?
I've mentored lots of people, actually, Christian and not, but some of them Christian, and tried to make sense of the business to them. I was very fortunate. I can only say that this was part of a grander plan, that from very early, like when I was 19, I was in charge of my gig. Went on to be a news editor, news director, program director, bureau chief. And it wasn't until my early 30s that I came back into a newsroom. And by then I was able to kind of stick up for myself on issues like the truth. But for young people getting into that business with a framework of Christian faith, it can be a really tough place to be, especially now.
What's the biggest challenge for a Christian in media?
I think on the issue of truth, I think that extends far beyond journalism today. It extends into politics, it extends into corporate life, even our relationships with one another, because if we don't have truth, it may sound ironic coming from a journalist, I grant you, but without truth between the two of us, if I can't trust that you're telling me the truth, we've actually got nothing.
So are there times, this is a tricky question, but it's probably right to ask, has the Christian faith got in the way of your career at times?
No. In some ways it has, because I've made numbers of specific and sometimes costly decisions not to go in a direction where I could have. I could have achieved more, I could have earned more, certainly, but I thought I just couldn't do that. I couldn't sleep at night. I couldn't walk in and be the same person that I am away from this business in that particular job. I just want to be the same person wherever I am. So there have been decisions that I've made, and as I said, costly decisions, sometimes that I become irrelevant and remain a relevant father and husband. I got 4 wonderful kids, 5 grandsons,
That's
with
great,
a 6th grandson on the way.
Oh, that's good.
And the
I've
relationships...
got 8.
We'll catch up. and the relationships we have with them have made those decisions just the best decisions that I've made in my life.
Yeah. Sometimes people say to me, what are your children doing? I can say, well, one's a lawyer, one's a... But I say, they don't rob banks. They're decent people.
Oh, no.
Isn't that what family life's all about?
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
And you've got a daughter that follows you in media as well.
Yes, she is. Yeah.
And I'm sure
I'm a very proud dad.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. Lee, stay with us, if you will, for just a few moments. I'd like to just come back, have a word later. Let me welcome Mel Lily Kwan and the Wesley Impact Band to sing My Redeemer.
Tell me you love me. Your perfect plan of redemption unfolding. Oh, my Redeemer, paid my debt with nail-scarred hands. Oh, my Redeemer, made a way to bring me back into His home where I am whole, where I am healed and not alone. Here I stand in awe of your promise. Sealed by the blood of the Lamb, and that can never be broken. Oh, my Redeemer paid my debt with nail-scarred hands. Oh, my Redeemer made a way to bring me back into His home where I am whole.
As I was walking down the train station, because I never usually catch a train, I'm always driving, but I happened to catch the train because I was coming back from the city, and I was looking down all the blue shirts and I went, oh my gosh, I love Wesley Mission. And that's it, we started chatting, and I said, and because I know the good works that they do, I said, yes, of course I want to support weekly, whatever I can. It doesn't have to be a lot. I love that Wesley Mission has been around for more than 200 years. And I think sometimes we try and reinvent the wheel and things collapse and things fail, but this charity has been around for 200 plus years. It's an Australian iconic brand charity that's helping people in the community. It's trusted by the community. You don't have to give a lot, a little helps, $2, $5, even if, whatever you can in your capacity, and help people less fortunate than yourself.
Let me read to you, if I can, from John's Gospel, chapter 20, 19 through to 31. Jesus appears to his disciples. On the evening of that first day of the week, when the disciples were together with the doors locked for fear of the Jewish leaders, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." After he said this, he showed them his hands and side. The disciples were overjoyed when they saw the Lord. Again, Jesus said, "Peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, I'm sending you." And with that, he breathed on them and said, "Receive the Holy Spirit. If you forgive anyone's sins, their sins are forgiven. If you do not forgive them, they're not forgiven." Now Thomas, also known as Didymus, one of the 12, was not with the disciples when Jesus came. So the other disciples told him, "We have seen the Lord." But he said to them, "Unless I see the nail marks in his hands, put my finger where the nails were, and put my hand in his side, I will not believe." A week later, his disciples were in the house again, and Thomas was with them. Though the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here. See my hands. Reach out your hand and put it in my side. Stop doubting and believe." Thomas said to him, "My Lord and my God." Then Jesus told him, "Because you see me, you've believed. Blessed are those who have not seen, yet have believed." Jesus performed many other signs in the presence of his disciples, which are not recorded in this book. But these are written that you may believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in his name. Let me put that into context. It's one of my favourite resurrection accounts because first of all, it deals with Thomas, and I'll come back to that, but also shows the willingness of Jesus to enter into the real situation of those disciples. They were fearful. We're told that the doors were locked. I mean, surely, once they knew Jesus was alive, there was no need to lock the door, but there was. Right through to Pentecost, the doors were locked. Jesus came and stood among them and showed his hands and his side. And this is going to be so important because when the news is passed on to Thomas, it was very important for him that he was able to see, and he asked for much more. Jesus breathed peace on them. Surely that's part of the Easter message, isn't it? Peace. The peace that Jesus breathes upon those who belong to him. Do you need to have the breath of Christ afresh today in your life? Then Thomas's experience. Oh gosh, what an experience. He wasn't there. Now, I could spend a long time conjecturing why wasn't he there? What was taking up his time so much so he wasn't with the rest of the disciples? I could actually say some positive things. Perhaps he was so upset and hurt by what had happened, he didn't want to be with the crowd. He's not that kind of man. But then he finds himself in that place. And Jesus knew what he'd already said. And so he gives him the opportunity. You want to put your hand here, if you want to see if I'm really risen or not. But this is the most important thing for me. He didn't do that. He didn't actually touch Jesus. He didn't actually need this affirmation that was being offered to him at that point in time. And he makes a declaration of faith. Now, this declaration of faith, my Lord and my God, is for me anyway, I think of it as probably the first early creed of the church, to be able to confess that Jesus Christ is Lord and to know what it is to fall down and acknowledge the lordship of Jesus Christ. Marvellous moment, really, in the life of the early Christian community. And he was saying that before they were saying it. He was saying it before there were any creeds written. He was saying it, and he was setting the way, setting the pattern that would be. You know, Beth Moore wrote part of a teaching series called Wrestling with God. And she declared the whole point is not about doubting, it's about coming out the other side with twice the faith you had when you went into your doubt. And certainly Thomas is going to be a marvellous example. It's said, of course, that Thomas knew what it was to give his life. Maybe he becomes a martyr of the faith. Maybe he goes to India and shares faith with people there. The truth is, Thomas becomes, for me, so important in this story. And Jesus chooses to reveal something of his glory to him. Wonderful story about resurrection. And whatever your story is, you know, he wasn't a doubter. He was a believer. And I'm very sad when I hear people say, I'm a doubting Thomas, as though there's something clever in saying that. That's the one thing that Thomas wasn't. He was somebody who was able to declare, my Lord and my God. And you today, wherever you are, whatever your situation is, you too can know what it is to have trust and confidence in the God who is able to transform our lives.
If you would like to contact Keith and find out more about today's program, write to us at Wesley Mission, Post Office Box A 5555, Sydney South 1235, or you can send us an email to impacttv@wesleymission.org.au. On our website, you can catch up on past episodes of Wesley Impact, find out more about our work, read online magazines and articles, and connect with us on social media. You can also connect through Keith's blog and stay up to date on all the latest news and information from Wesley Mission, wesleymission.org.au.
Hope you found those thoughts on the experience of Thomas in John's Gospel helpful, and the conversation a little earlier with Lee. Now, before I finish up, Lee, I'd like to ask you this kind of question. If someone was listening to us, just nosing in this morning into what we're, and they're Christian and they're thinking about going into media, what would you say to them?
Be able to say a lot. It's tough. It's tougher now to break in than it was in my early life. It can be a wonderful, exhilarating business to be part of. Tougher though, more and more on less and less. You'd have to be a patient person. You have to be a persistent person, fierce persistence. I'd also say, if they're Christian, you're not paid to be an evangelist at work.
Absolutely.
Though, in time, your light will shine. And likely over a much longer period than I think many frameworks of evangelism give us a chance to.
And to parents of young people who are keen to pursue such a career?
I think my parents were quite worried. They were more worried that I was going to be an actor, actually. That was their main concern. But they went on to be...
Or a singer.
Or a singer. I'll get back to you on that. They went on to be proud of what I achieved and the place that I had in the industry. It was it's a great career.
Well, Lee, thanks for your friendship over the years that we've enjoyed, Carol and myself personally.
It's always great to see you.
Bless you in all that you seek to do. Thank you for joining us today on the show.
Thank you.
I'd like to invite you to spend time with us again next week on our Wesley Impact programme. God bless you. Same time, same place, and have a great week.
The grace of God has reached for me and pulled me from the raging sea, and I am safe on this solid ground. The Lord is my salvation. I will not fear when darkness falls. His strength will help me scale these walls. I'll see the dawn of the rising sun. The Lord is my salvation.